Hello everyone, and welcome to another Monster Hunter World weapon guide. Today we're going to be doing an updated review of the Taroth Blitz shot. This is a rarity 8 light bowgun that you can get from Taroth as a siege reward. So this is one of the best light bowguns in the game, which is why we're taking another look at it. And also I'm changing up my format a little bit on these guides. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be offering 3 builds, kind of like Baby Bear, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, right? And what you guys are going to get is a build that has no decorations in it, a build that has low-level decorations in it, and a build that has high-level decorations in it, right? So something for everybody, and that's going to be kind of like my new format for these weapon guides. I think it's really going to help people because I think that's one of the obstacles for having these guides be useful, and I really do want them to be useful. Alright, so now that I've mentioned that, why don't we go ahead and jump into the weapon attributes. I always take a look at the weapon attributes to kind of make sense of the weapon before we get into the builds, right? So, it's a rarity 8 weapon, that means you get 1 augmentation slot. You can see I spent mine on affinity increase, and that's actually going to bring my affinity up to 0%. It's normally negative 10% starting out. The other augmentation you might consider is a health regen augmentation, right? So that whenever you shoot the monster, you get a little bit of health back. That's the other one I would consider. Affinity is just going to allow you to do more damage. The health regen is going to allow you to maybe have an easier matchup, okay? So it's up to you. So affinity for speed running, health recovery for casual, okay? The attack value of 273 doesn't really represent what you get out of this weapon. It actually goes higher than that because this is a true elementless bowgun, meaning there's no elemental ammo to it. So the attack value actually goes past 300 after you've added the elementless decoration. You'll notice it comes with a very good level 3 decoration slot. That's useful for a normal shots decoration. Okay, so that's very good to have on a light bowgun like this one. It has a defense bonus of plus 20. That's nice. It just doesn't really make a big difference in my opinion. For the custom mods, you'll notice I went with close range up times 3, and that's because the normal shots level 2, which is what we're going to be using on this bowgun, is really good. It doesn't really require any custom mods, so we just go pure damage. I played around with the attack ranged up mods, but I really think the close range up are better. Alright, well let's go ahead and move over to taking a look at the ammo types. So right off the bat, you'll notice it has normal piercing and spread ammo level 3. However, when we take a deeper look at the ammo types, you'll notice it has rapid fire for the normal ammo too. Whenever you see rapid fire, you can basically assume that it's a stronger ammo type than normal. So rapid fire is always very important to pay attention to, and really it's the light bowguns that get rapid fire ammo types, right? It's what makes them stand out from the other weapons. So we're interested in the normal ammo 2 here, and in the past we were interested in the Karma light bowgun level 2 normal ammo. Well, this bowgun is basically just going to outdamage it. So obviously this is a normal ammo gun. You're not really doing anything else. You'll notice one of the downsides to the gun is no ailments, no paralysis, no sleep, right? So you're really just doing straight damage, and that's it. I don't really recommend building for spread. I don't really recommend building for pierce. There's better bowguns for that. This bowgun is really meant just for the normal ammo too, really uncomplicated. So we can jump right over to taking a look at the builds because there isn't a lot to say about the ammo types, is there? Okay, so as I said, we have 3 different builds. This is the first one. It's going to be the easiest one to put together. You'll notice it's all about the armor types, it's all about the charm. There's no decoration in the decoration slots. You're perfectly welcome to fill those in if you happen to have the decorations, but this is what I have for you. You'll notice I have the Awakening Charm giving me free element / ammo up 2. That's going to increase the number of shots you can have for the normal ammo 2. Actually, that's going to be kind of a pattern for all the builds. You only need it at level 2 because you're only using level 2 normal ammo, right? Then you'll notice I get normal shots onto the build using Diablos Nero Greaves. After that, I focus on Weakness Exploit and Maximum Might. Those are pretty typical for getting your affinity up so that you're getting more crit shots in, right? And then after that, you'll notice I have Agitator level 2. So between the Nergigante Helm, the Nergigante Vambraces, and the Nergigante Coil, I'm actually able to get you the Nergigante Hunger skill onto the build, and that's going to heal you a little bit as you're shooting the monster. So it's kind of like having a health recovery augmentation, not as strong as a health recovery augmentation, but useful anyways, and especially for people who are still kind of new to the game, health recovery is a good thing. And really you could stack this with the health recovery augmentation if you happen to be able to augment it that way. Alright, so that's the Baby Bear build. It's the easiest one. If you did have the correct decorations, I would say go ahead and try to get an Elementalist decoration in there, at least an Elementalist decoration, because that's going to boost your damage by quite a bit. The other skills I would prioritize is probably the Vitality decorations. Those are going to increase your health. If you can get 3 of those onto the build, that's going to help you stay alive longer, and I think that that's a really great skill for newer players. All right, moving right along, this is going to be the Mama Bear build, maybe like the tier 2 build. I should come up with the more official name than Mama Bear, right? But basically what we have going on here is I'm assuming you have no rarity 7 and no rarity 8 decorations. So none of the really rare decorations. It's all based on lower level decorations. And you can tell I've really filled this out a lot more than the Baby Bear build. And that's a good thing, right? So some of the priorities for this build is getting the non-elemental boost. And I do that one with the Elementalist decoration. Also, the normal shot skill, which I do that with the Diablos Nero Greaves. Very similar to the previous build, right? You actually needed an Elementalist decoration there as well. But those are pretty important skills. They allow you to do a lot more damage per shot. After that, you'll notice I want the combination of Weakness Exploit, Free Element / Ammo Up, Crit Boost, and Maximum Might. And all of those are the other way that you increase the damage on the build. Now for the charm slot, I actually went with an attack 3 charm, and I paired that with the Nergigante Helm Alpha. That's where you're getting the attack boost for. Attack boost is going to give you a nice little chunk of damage. Also is going to give you that 5% affinity. A positive affinity, pairing that with critical boost is always a great thing. Alright, and then after that, you'll also notice that I filled in the slots with 3 levels of Vitality. Like I said earlier, I think that's a great skill for newer players. I mean, it's still a useful skill. I still use it sometimes. And I had an extra slot, so I filled in Critical Eye. So this is the Mama Bear build. It just assumes you don't have very many rare decorations, and I think it's actually a pretty good one. Alright, and now for the Papa Bear build. This assumes you actually do have really good decorations. In fact, on the left, you'll notice I have the Force Shot Jewel and the Release Jewel, and obviously if you don't have those, you're not going to be able to follow this build. So basically the point of this is you're using a light bowgun, and one of the nice things about light bowguns is you're able to avoid the monster pretty well, right? You've got your roll, you're able to move at full speed with the weapon drawn, so there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to use peak performance, and the Lunastra armor set gave us the Empress Mail beta, and that gives you a really efficient access to peak performance basically. So there's a lot of builds similar to this one that are going to be looking at using the Empress Mail. And one of the downsides is if you want to do that, you have to give up the Kulve Taroth chest piece. That means you're giving up one of those levels of crit boost. So you really need 3 crit boost decorations in order to get your crit boost up to 3, right? I mean, even the charm doesn't help you here. The charm maxes out at 1 level of crit boost. So it's crit boost heavy, it's force shot, and release heavy as well. So those are that's kind of why we have Papa Bear, Mama Bear, Baby Bear builds going on here, because I want you guys to be able to max out your build if you have the right decorations, and if you don't, then you get the best builds that you possibly can, right? So let's talk a little bit. One of the things I like to do is talk about priority here, and especially when we're talking about the Papa Bear build where you can get the strongest setup you can get going, this is where you really think about the priority. So I would say similar to the previous builds, normal shot, non-elemental boost, and ammo up together. That's pretty hardcore, a lot of your damage. Then there's this combination of crit boost, weakness exploit, and maximum might that go together to get a lot of your damage as well. So those 2 sets are pretty priority. And then the last part, attack boost 4 and peak performance, those are like the auxiliary skills you look to add onto the build after you've done as much as you can with the other skills. And peak performance is debatable. So you'll notice I have, well, take a look. I have maximum might at level 2, and I suggest that it's a more valuable skill than peak performance, and I would say it kind of is, because it just gives you 10% affinity for not using your stamina, which is very easy for bowguns, by the way. But here's the deal with peak performance. It grows exponentially, so you really do have to take it to level 3 in order for it to be useful. Whereas maximum might is a linear skill where each level grows it by the same amount. So you can stop at level 2 maximum might and you're not really missing off on the big payoff on level 3 maximum might, but you really do want to take peak performance to level 3. So I value maximum might more than peak performance, but you're getting a bigger payoff by taking peak performance to 3 rather than maximum might, see? So I don't know, that's kind of the maybe like more analytical thoughts that go into putting a build together, and I could be wrong in the end, really. It always gets harder to say. I mean, you can look at it on paper, but then it all comes down to how it played out in the actual game. Like, for example, it could be easier to keep your maximum might up and harder to keep your peak performance up. That's especially true if you're fighting something like Valhazak or you're fighting Lunastra, and obviously on this build with peak performance, you probably wouldn't take this against those monsters, or you would trade off peak performance for something like, probably like Resentment. What's another one? Agitator. Yeah, those 2 would be a good trade-offs. So if you're fighting a monster with good DOT damage, then I would probably switch off to Agitator or Resentment, but not peak performance. Alright, and that is it for the builds. Let me know if you like this new format, by the way. I suspect you guys will, because I've listened to the comment section and I've heard you guys complain about not having the decorations for these builds, and I even put together a build where you can get attack boost 4 together without using any attack jewels. Okay, but enough about that. I just want to mention, when it comes to this light bowgun, let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. So basically, it's pretty uncomplicated. You're only using the normal ammo too, for pretty much the whole fight. And then what I would do, probably the most important part of the gameplay I would say, is that when you knock the monster over, you need to be using all of your Wyvern Blast. The Wyvern Blast on this light bowgun is actually really strong, and if you can knock a monster over and get all your Wyvern Blast down and then shoot the monster in the head and ignite the Wyvern Blast, you're going to be doing tons of damage. Now the only downside to a weapon like this is the fact that the normal ammo just really isn't as strong as some of the other ammo types. I would say it takes a lot of skill to shoot a monster in the head consistently, and not just that, but the payoff isn't even as good, in my opinion, as something like the Devil's Madness, which I'll be taking another look at the Devil's Madness here pretty soon, because honestly, I reviewed it a long time ago and it needs an updated review as well. But yeah, so normal ammo is nice in some ways, in the sense that you can stay further away from the enemy, right? You can stay further away from the monster. You can feel, it feels a little bit like you could play more passively, but if you want to keep the damage up, you're actually being even more focused, in my opinion, than the spread ammo, because you've got to get every one of your shots, it's got to be a headshot. And then you're rushing in to get that blast ammo in as well. And honestly, with the 3 close range up mods, you're playing pretty close to the monster anyways, just so that you can max out your damage. And that's one of the downsides to normal ammo. I'm hoping Capcom does something with the normal ammo. I would love to see it have a slower rate of fire, but like more damage per shot, so that it feels even more kind of like, oh, maybe like a sniper ammo, right? That would be really cool, right? Don't you think? Like if normal ammo had more range, and then it shot maybe like at a slower pace, but it dealt more damage per shot, that'd be pretty exciting, and it'd put even more emphasis on your skill as a marksman, right? Okay, well that's mostly everything I have to say about the gun. If you're wondering which monsters to use it on, it's especially good at reaching monsters who have like weak spots that are higher off of the ground. Think of tall monsters, think of monsters who have wings, and those would be like monsters that something like a spread ammo build would have more trouble against, right? And that's really where the normal ammo does excel the most. And as for the tier rating, I'm going to have to give it the same tier rating I gave it before. For the monsters that are weak against normal ammo especially, it gets an A+. I don't think it's necessarily a meta setter, but it is definitely a powerful weapon that if you happen to get from Kulve Taroth, you're very lucky, and you should really try one of these setups so that you can go run it, because it's a very fun weapon to use. Alright, well I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.